correct. Now, the big argument that they had is that 11 to 14-year prison sentence is based on calculating the crime on an attempted murder charge. They changed that to an aggravated assault charge based on the factors. That's what brought that sentence ultimately down. Sorry, now you can hear the protesting that just started up, so it's difficult to hear, but that's a lot of what was going on in court today. Ultimately, the judge finding that a sentence of time served or just probation would not be an appropriate punishment. She chose 33 months for Brett Hankison. It was a lot of legal arguments. It was going through and asking for, okay, here's what the probation department has recommended. The government, as well as the defense team, asked for the judge to go take that range down. You know, first it was arguing we don't think the calculation is correct based on attempted murder. It should be aggravated assault. The judge agreed with that, but then the defense team, as well as the government, were asking for downgrades and more legal arguments, saying that, you know, Brett Hankison has had to go through multiple trials. And really the government's big argument is they were saying that they didn't believe, even though there was a jury verdict, they were making the argument almost politically, saying, we think that the government would have done something different under this particular administration. I will be clear, they didn't say that specifically, but the judge reacted to that, saying that she was not going to let politics into her courtroom. The legal I would say the crowd is about 30 people. I don't get the sense that it's growing, but that could change it as we wait for more people to come and react. But it's unclear at this point whether the government will come out and answer any questions. I know we'll have another crew that is keeping watch to try and talk to Brett Hankison's defense team. Unknown if they'll talk to us either, given the fact that they already have said that they plan to appeal. I will say there were about six members of Taylor's family that were speaking in court. Tamika Palmer was the very first to give a victim impact statement. She and all of the family members asked for the maximum punishment allowed by law. They are very frustrated that the government would have recommended the time served sentence. In fact, Tamika Palmer said that she hadn't even talked to the new prosecutor who's on the case, and she was upset that that prosecutor didn't even know who she was when she was in the courthouse. So there's definitely a lot of anger from the family. You're hearing some anger from the protesters, but again, the judge determined that a 33-month prison sentence is what the law requires.
So again, appreciate the update there from our Mark Stevens live outside of the federal courthouse. And what you were hearing is relayed, obviously, through much of the noise of the protesters just outside as well when they received that news that at least we now know the judge's decision on that sentencing, 33 months for Brett Hankison as it pertains to that conviction from the jury last year as for violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights back in 2020. And so As we've been showing you, it's a fluid situation right now as I've got eyes on where our crew is, where you saw Mark standing outside of the federal courthouse. He mentioned that there's no guarantee we're going to hear from any prosecutors or necessarily anybody involved on either side of where the courtroom was for the parties involved. But if we do get those updates from Mark or from Logan or whoever is still outside heading in later into the evening, we'll make sure to relay that to you. So right now, if you're tuning in, you've been watching sort of this update from our Wave 3 multiple social media streams. That's probably where this is going to you right now. As we're also working on fleshing out more of these updates for you at 8 o'clock tonight. When I come back in on Wave Extra, I believe, as I'm watching everything sort of play out, what I'm seeing is members of Breonna Taylor's family exiting the courtroom. I'm going to see if I can switch that view for you while my microphone is still on. And so this may be them ready to make a statement. So let's see if I can turn the volume on for everyone.
I'm Attorney Ben Crump along with Attorney Lanita Baker and Attorney Sam Aguiar. We had the honor of fighting with this family for 5 years now to get equal justice. And even though we are astonished what we saw in the courtroom where the prosecutors seem to argue more for the defendant, Brett Hankison, than they argued for the victims, the family of Breonna Taylor. And you're going to hear Ms. Palmer speak briefly to that point. But I want to thank all of the activists here in Louisville, Kentucky, and all across America who kept saying her name for 5 years. Say her name. Breonna! Say her name. Breonna Taylor! Say her name. Breonna Taylor! Tamika Palmer, her family from day one fought to get Brett Hankison and those responsible to go to prison for her daughter's death. And even though it's not what we wanted, we thought that he should have gotten more time. We are grateful to Kristen Clark, Merrick Garland, and the Department of Justice who had the courage for the first time in the history to bring federal charges against a police officer for killing a black woman in America. And so we are grateful that he is at least going to prison, and have to thank for those 3 years about Breonna Taylor and that her life mattered. At this time, Attorney Lanita Baker, who is a great lawyer, homegrown here in Louisville, Kentucky, who have fought the fight with Tamika and the family. And Lanita, you know this family, you know this community. And thanks to you, they've been able to go this far. Y'all, a great round of applause for Attorney Lanita Baker.
Today's definitely not what we wanted, but we will take 33 months in prison, followed by the 3 years of supervised release. A DOJ prosecutor, what'd y'all say his name? Rob Keenan. We don't know his name really because he hasn't been in touch with us. He sent a text message at 10 o'clock p.m. last Wednesday, and when I told him he needed to contact Tamika Palmer, he said, "Oh, I'll just do it in the morning." And he didn't do that in the morning. Instead, in the morning, we got a copy of the sentencing memorandum from a member of the media. That's the prosecutor that filed that motion for 1 day. That's the prosecutor that came in here today and argued harder for Brett Hankison to be released than he advocated for the victim of this case, Breonna Taylor. We're not fighting still for a conviction. We have the conviction. The jury found Brett Hankison violating Breonna's civil rights.
That part.
We were here today for a just sentence. And while 33 months in prison is not enough, it's more than they were asking for. And we do have to, we commend the judge for taking the time to listen, to push back, and to express her disappointment within the Department of Justice, because she did do that. And she all but said they violated their oath of office as prosecutors. And as a former prosecutor, they did that. And at one point, it got so bad of them arguing for Brett Hankison that I probably was going to get held in contempt. So I took Tamika out because she didn't need to listen to that man anymore. And so, being gave accolades to Merrick Garland and Kristen Clark, I would be remiss if I did not say and give a shout out to Mike Songer, who we wish could have been here today arguing and advocating for Breonna Taylor and for the officers to truly be held to justice. Mike Songer and Anna Godfried, the prosecutors who tried this case with dignity, with respect, who listened to this family, who gave it to the jury, and who got those convictions. I would be remiss if I did not give them their shout out and say that we really wish you all were here today fighting for us. And just know that this is one fight. We still have two other officers that this community has to demand that this Department of Justice continues to prosecute. Cal Meany and Joshua James, we cannot forget about them. And they are charged with Breonna's murder. You heard the judge say today that Brett Hankison wasn't being sentenced for her murder, but Joshua James and Cal Meany are. And so this community, this family, Breonna Taylor deserves justice, and we got to continue to demand it.
Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Yeah, as Attorney Baker said, it was really like a George Orwell story in there. Never in my career as a lawyer had I heard the prosecutor argue so adamantly for a convicted felon who had been convicted by a jury who heard all the evidence. The judge talked about how she was troubled. She agreed with Ms. Palmer that it seemed to be a 180-degree about face in the courtroom, the arguments that they were making, saying that he should get 1 day in prison, even though the jury convicted him of a crime, even though there was a sentencing guideline that said he could get up to life in prison. They said 1 day, 1 day. So I agree with Attorney Baker. We thank the judge for her attention to detail and for setting the record straight that he was convicted of depriving Breonna Taylor of her civil rights, Fourth Amendment seizure, and that is a crime that we acknowledge in America that you go to prison for. So he is going to prison, and we have to keep watching as to when he is going to go to prison. And with that, the lady who is responsible for this day happening, she fought harder than anybody else to say that my daughter Breonna Taylor did not deserve this. She did not deserve to be killed in her own home. She did not deserve to be lied to when she got to the apartment about where's my daughter. And they sent her on a wild goose chase while her daughter laid in that highway dead. From that night to this very moment, she has been dogmatic and fighting for this police officer and those others to be held accountable. So we should celebrate Tamika Palmer and Breonna Taylor's family for making this day possible. Yeah, as she gets ready to speak from her heart, let her know that her daughter will never be forgotten. Say her name. Breonna Taylor. Say her name. Breonna Taylor. Say her name. Breonna Taylor. Breonna Brianna's mother, Tamika Palmer.
Make sure you step up for us. We want to make sure all the cameras can see you, Tamika.
I don't really got a lot to say. I think the judge did the best she could with what she had to work with. There was no prosecution in there for us. There was no prosecution in there for Brianna.
That part.
So I definitely, I'm grateful for the judge for giving some time, because we could have walked away with nothing according to what they recommended. Yes. So I'm just grateful for my friends and family for steady showing up, and no matter how disappointing we seem to be, but we still here, and I'm just grateful that something happened today.
Tamika, you were frustrated at many points inside that courtroom today, listening to the prosecutor essentially arguing for Brett Hankison in there. Tell us your mindset.
Why was he here? That was my mindset. I mean, I didn't understand him. We didn't need him if that's what he came to do. Brett had his own defense team, and I didn't know he got a second one. So
that part.
Never
He
seen
had
two
defense lawyers arguing for him.
Two defense.
One, the government attorney, his private attorneys arguing for him.
What does it mean to you to know that you were supposed to be talked to by the Department of Justice to have that new team come in? What does that mean?
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Last question for her.
To have that new attorney on the case come in and replace all the work that the previous administration had done, what does that say to you about how serious this case was to them compared to how serious it is to you?
It was just as disrespectful as being sent to a hospital my daughter wasn't at. So, that man didn't know who I was when I walked into the room. I've never seen such a thing. I've never even heard of such a thing. It was disrespectful. It was heartbreaking. It shouldn't have happened. And like I said, he didn't know who I was. And the fact we wasn't even given the same opportunity. They submitted letters. We had family and friends submit letters. He never even turned in. I don't know the point. I don't know the point of him. I didn't know why he was here.
It was insult on top of injury, literally. Insult on top of injury. Last question.
Tamika, you told me after November 1st that you felt air in your lungs again, but you were also paying close attention to the election. How do you feel right now?
I said it that day, we'll see, and we got to see. We got to see. We still,
Yeah.
I don't know that we've moved the needle much, but
Do you feel like you've got justice?
I feel like we got something.
Yeah.
We got something. I don't think it was a fair sentencing, but it was a start.
Yeah. And now we're going to hear from Mr. Kenny Walker, Brianna's boyfriend, who still should be looked at as a strong black man who tried to defend his home, tried to defend his woman, and defend their lives. Because, as he has said over and over again, they had no idea who was coming through their door screaming with guns at them. And he did what most American citizens who believe in the Second Amendment would do. He tried to protect his home, because the Second Amendment applies to black people too. Kenny Walker will always be a hero to us. Kenny Walker.
I went through a lot of obstacles and jumped over a lot of hoops and stuff to even get here today, and they still continue. I was outside for 2 hours while the trial was going on and couldn't get in. Sweated outside in this heat in my suit for hours before I could even get in. Someone, I don't even know how I got in. Someone just came. I didn't leave. I stayed here. So I didn't quit like I haven't all the way up to this point.
That's right.
I'm grateful for the small piece of justice that we got. It's definitely not what I was expecting. And Brett Hankison told me I was going to go to jail for the rest of my life. So I definitely feel some type of something to see him going for, even if it's a little time.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead. To hear the testimony that you heard from everyone who was here in support of Brett Hankison, to have that discrepancy based on your experience, what does that say about this trial and the result that you got?
And that was crazy, and it was very disrespectful. These people were sitting up here talking about a dog dying. I love dogs just as much as the next person. There's no way a dog's life is more important than one of my favorite people on this earth that I saw die in my arms, basically. Bleeding out. Nobody cared. Nobody tried to save her. But y'all had so much sympathy for some dog that we talking about in here. That's crazy. So what I got from that is Brett Hankison and his family and friends, they care more about animals than they do people.
Ken, we haven't had a chance to talk to you about the fact that in another case, another prosecution, that a judge essentially said that you firing the shot set off the chain of events that led to Breonna's death. They brought up that testimony again today. We've not had a chance to ask you about how that made you feel.
It's not true.
Yeah.
And it continues to be their false narrative, the narrative that they wanted to spin. But what set off that chain of events is Joshua James lying on a search warrant to go to Breonna's home. And he never lied. Kenny would not have had to protect his home, their home. That is what killed Breonna.
And I've always said, if they would have just said, hey, it's the police, we didn't have any reason not to open the door.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say to that.
And when you think about that, the Second Amendment, we can't say it enough. The Second Amendment applies to all citizens. It applies to black citizens as well. And so to say him find a shot in self-defense of people, a lot of people can't understand it because they would never kick in your door at 1 o'clock in the morning. And so that's what Kenny was up against. We heard a lot about 12 seconds. Kenny had to make a decision in a split second when people coming through his door with guns and yelling. Can you put yourself in his position? I mean, just think about it. And I think Kenny said one of the best things when we were all talking to somebody in the family saying, we didn't get the sentence we wanted, but it was more than one day. It was more than one day what they wanted. So he is the person who's been fighting just as hard as anybody else for Breonna Taylor. And thank you, Kenny Walker. Thank you. Okay. We will continue to keep you all updated.
Can I ask real quick, is there any nerves or concern that there will be a pardon or some commuting of the sentence?
Let us have our moment.
Yeah.
We're going to
We
take
just got to
this
keep
moment.
fighting, and we're going to take this
We're going
moment
to
for
take
today.
each moment day by day.
Right now in America, we're at the crossroads. We're at the crossroads, and so Breonna Taylor killing 5 years later is telling us a lot at which direction we're going to go. Are we going to continue to be a democracy that upholds the objective of liberty and justice for all? Or are we going to descend into being a police state where the police can do anything and have no accountability, even with jury verdicts? Because the jury has spoken, and they tried to act as if the jury verdict doesn't mean anything. Well, in America, in a democracy, jury verdicts speak truth to the community. And that's what we have to hold America to, saying that are we going to be a democracy or are we going to be a police state? The question is before us all, every day. Thank you. Say her name.
Breonna Taylor!
Say her name.
Breonna Taylor!
Say her name.
All right, folks, you've been watching a reaction from today's sentence to 33 months for Brett Hankison, civil rights attorney Ben Crump, along with Breonna Taylor's family, out there outside the federal courthouse today giving reaction. Tamika Palmer today kind of said, you know, did they get the justice? Somebody asked, did they get justice?
Yeah, I believe she had paraphrased something.
We got something, is what she had said. So still very, not the outcome that they had hoped, but it is something that he will be spending some time in jail.
And we'd heard something to the effect of perhaps the impression that was left on Breonna Taylor's family. I don't know if you'd heard that part of it, Myra, where one of the attorneys involved, Lenita Baker, had talked about the first interaction she'd had with this new group of DOJ prosecutors, and she mentioned that the first phone call or text message communication she received was last Wednesday. So very close to having led up to today, Monday afternoon, for this sentencing hearing. Perhaps Ms. Baker's critique was that the prosecutors, even then reaching out to her and the attorney's team, did not then let Mrs. Palmer know what their plan was, and somehow she was hinting at the revelation of the recommendation for the sentencing happened when it hit the public, when that was published information.
She had kind of described how disappointing that was, how insulting she felt that was as well. We also heard from Kenneth Walker, who was Breonna Taylor's boyfriend at the time, as well. So it's been a while since we've seen him and heard from him. So it was interesting to see his reaction today. He had said that he was told that Brett Hankison told him that he would be. Brett Hankison told Kenneth Walker that Walker would be going to jail, but he said that it's a relief to see the roles reversed in that, Hankison will be going to jail instead.
Yes, and so again, 33 months. It lives in the middle at least, and I'm not as familiar with the guidelines. Would recommend for the sentence he received, Myra. I imagine it was greater than what was presented to the judge today as the DOJ recommendation of the 1 day plus the fine and the supervised release. I believe, based on what Mark told us at about, give or take 6:30 or before then, he said, so it's the 2 years, 9 months, and 3 years of supervised release after that.
Okay, all right. So, of course, you know, it was interesting to hear all of the reaction afterwards. Again, not what Breonna Taylor's family and supporters had hoped for, but it is something. 33 months versus 1 day is what Ben Crump was saying as well. So emphasizing that they are, it's not the justice that they had hoped for, but it is something that they, it's better than the 1 day that they were fearing.
And it'll be interesting. Mark had mentioned he was kind of in an overflow room, so it seems like there was so much attention. So who knows who was in the immediate courtroom to kind of get the initial impression of what the arguments were. There was a discussion this afternoon about the time it was going to take to hear witness impact statements, victim impact statements, if that was going to sway how the judge was going to eventually reach her conclusion on the sentencing. Just curious, who spoke? Who were the people who came up to the microphone and spoke either on behalf of Breonna Taylor, on behalf of Brett Hankison, and where the judge ultimately, it fell in the middle. It wasn't in the lower extreme or the high extreme for what that sentence was going to be.
And, you know, his sentencing was scheduled for 1:30 today. No cameras were allowed in the courtroom because it's federal court. And it took quite a while. I asked Mark on TV, like, what took so long? Because we were thinking, oh, by 3 o'clock it'll be in at least then. But no, it took quite a bit of time. So we'll have a better idea once our crews get back to kind of figure out who was speaking today, what sort of, you know, emotions were there. But as you were saying, there was an overflow room. So that means that there was a number of people there that were wanting to see what was going to happen.
We heard Kenny Walker say even he tried to get into the physical courtroom and could not get inside because enough people had taken a seat. And so you can't just barge your way in there to sit down.
Yeah. All right. So again, Brett Hankison received 33 months today from that federal judge. And Mark had talked a little bit about it when he was, you know, whether or not he's going to be going straight to jail or he'll be out or that sort of thing. So we're going to have much more on that coming up tonight as well.
And a fluid situation now. I don't know what the expectation is if Mark has learned any more checking in with prosecutors. For us, Myra, kind of the conversation, just because it's so important to the people gathered outside today, and there's still some daylight, and so we don't know if even based off of the decision the judge brought, if you know, we'd heard before he came on the air to talk to you all that there was still kind of an uproar, that people were, you know, audibly upset because they argued that based on the punishment of the conviction for that jury trial, that it should have been a longer sentence. It was not the case.
We saw emotions running quite high today. Jose and I were on kind of as it was unfolding outside the courthouse. A couple of protesters were...
Which, by the way, the video is still, in that time that we discussed, the video is still in the bank if we can always track
here,
that back.
let me see if I can... this is not live happening right now. This happened earlier today, folks,
Right, so I'm gonna
please
take
don't
this. I'll take that
Thank
off.
you
I'll
for
take
doing
that
that.
bag off, yes.
But a protester, there was 4 protesters that were arrested, according to LMPD.
So I'm going to play you the first of what we thought were
Okay.
the scarier car confrontations. And so that's there. And so that's the first one involving the Louisville water truck on the media there.
And you can see that protester kind of getting on top of the hood of that Louisville Water Company vehicle that was trying to pass through. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but that driver was trying to get through the traffic, and then that same protester got on top of another vehicle here, this red vehicle. You can see right there in the corner of your screen. So, again, emotions have just been running high. 4 people were arrested and taken into custody facing charges, including, I think, Breonna Taylor's aunt.
Yes, in which if we fast forward a little more in this video clip, which we're able to do that with this technology. This is around the moment, by the way, this afternoon when after that confrontation we saw the group of LMPD SUVs, cars, trucks kind of take over the intersection. This was just to sort of eventually tell people back up, get out of the road, you know, don't stand where you weren't supposed to, because this wasn't like traffic was supposed to be blocked off.
Sure.
And so you hear just the noise there for sure.
So traffic was closed for a little bit of time. They were there for a little bit. This is the moment where her aunt was taken into custody. But in order to kind of control the crowds, everybody was asked to go back onto the sidewalk to get things moving and to de-escalate what was happening out there as well.
And so I don't know if we'd missed that window where I believe they'd taken Breonna's aunt off to the side. Yes. Then you just hear more chanting. Eventually, I think coming up soon is when police were going to, I think it's this officer, someone, yes. The protester, which I forget their name, but in the red tank top, eventually, we do have the mugshot, I believe, was set up.
So a total of 4 protesters were taken into custody. I'm sure that police will be monitoring.
Please take your arm off me.
Okay, so I do double check on the name of this individual, Myra. Now I have the name up here. Rosario Barbara Matola. Is, we did receive a mugshot and a report from LMPD.
And Breonna Taylor's aunt is Bianca Austin. She was among the 4 people arrested today as well. So, Jose, I think we're going to have more coverage of all of this coming up here in just a few minutes on Wave News at 7 o'clock. I see Mark Stevens. He's preparing for a live report from out there. So much more coverage today at 7.
Yes. All right. Well, appreciate you joining us, Myra. It's been quite a busy day, so we also appreciate you getting these updates, checking in with us as we're sharing this information in real time with you.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.